You talk about a parenting strategy known as concerted cultivation. Can you share a bit more about what that is and what that means?
Yeah, it's actually an idea it's somewhat new to me. It comes from a sociologist who wrote a really interesting book that was a kind of ethnographic study where she spent quite a bit of time with both middle class and working class parents and found just a really distinct difference. And what I highlighted in my lecture was just the kind of middle class parenting strategy, which is what she calls concerted cultivation. And she says it's very distinct from kind of other class structures when they think about parenting, but it is this kind of deep sense of investment in your kids that you're cultivating. You're always you're being very engaged, and then but that's for a cultivation of something. And it's a very interesting theory, and I think it's true. It rings true to me. And I'm putting that. I was trying to put that in conversation with this German social theorist named Hartmann Rose, who talks about what it means to live in a modern age, in a late modern age particularly, is a continuing speeding up. That we live in a world where everything speeds up, and he means technology, he means social change, and he means the pace of life just keeps speeding up.
Yeah.
But what he thinks that happens in that speed up is that as modern people, the real crisis we face is that the present just becomes shorter and shorter and shorter. And just a quick analogy of this is like the church, the early church, like the ancient church used to live with this sense. I think it's fair to say that the present was this very long, expansive thing. Like the present were all those who had lived and were awaiting the consummation of creation and the return of Jesus Christ. So you buried your dead in the church graveyard near the worshiping community because, not to be really lame and quote Coldplay, but the dead are not dead. They would say they're just still living in my head, but the church would say they're still amongst us worshiping. We still need them and their practices because they taught us the practices originally. And you can see how it's more complicated than this, obviously, but the veneration of saints within that in a really beautiful, legitimate way that the dead still inform us and teach us how to live this faith because we're still in the present. We're still waiting for Jesus to return. That's not how modernity works. Like we start to shrink the present once the church is in keeping time, but the state is keeping time or consumer culture is keeping time. The present becomes more rapid, and particularly in the consumer age, the more things need to be new, like the fact that I just got a new phone because my old one wasn't working right because it was only 2 years old.
Right.
And so I knew in the phone I have now, it will not be new in about 3 months or 4 months. So the present just, that's just a simple example. The present just keeps getting compressed and compressed and compressed. And so he's saying now, and this connects to the cultivated, the concerted cultivation, is that as a parent, your job used to be, or even maybe as an elder in the faith, if you wanted to say that, it used to be passing on a way of life, a way of living in the present, really, a good life that was bound in the present, how we live in that. But the future, or the present, has become so shrunk, and our attention is to the future, that we don't even think there's any content to it. I don't even, and I guess this couples with the age of authenticity too. I don't even know how to tell you, if you're my 12-year-old daughter, what it means to live a good life now. But I know that you're going to have to live one, and what I hope is that you can live your dream. You'll be living a good life if you can live whatever dream you have. And remember, we're in the age of authenticity, so whatever unique dream you have. So my job as a parent is to make sure that you can live whatever dream you want to live. But the problem is you don't know what that is now. You're 11 or 14 or 15. So the best we can do, and what we should do, is get you involved in as many activities as you can, try on as many things, speak as many languages as you can, get as best test scores you can, so you can go to whatever college. So you can be well-rounded, but well-rounded really means that you are armored with the ability to win in whatever environment that you go into. And then you'll be able to live your dream. So the best I can do is give you activities, things that I called in the lecture things, give you a thing, like help you find your thing. And those things have to produce availability, accessibility, and attainability for you. They have to, and if they produce those things, give you those resources, then you'll be able to cash in those resources for whatever good life you want in the future. The problem, not to ramble on, but the problem is when the good life is always projected in the future, you can never arrive at it. So there's an inherent problem with the modern quest. And
constant striving and never
right.
never getting to
And the
it.
scary, like the scary story of this, and this is kind of a dark way to end this video, but like David Foster Wallace, the author, who's still quite well known and kind of avant-garde and quite well known, is a certain example of this that actually late modern people, especially middle class modern people, don't want to look at. It's like looking at the sun. You don't want to look at his narrative too long, or it burns your eyes. Because essentially what he discovered is that he lived that good life always in the future, and then he got it. He got the book. He got the awards, and realized your only option is to keep moving the goalposts. So it becomes a curse to ever get to your dream, because then you realize your dream doesn't save. You realize your dream, there's no real substance to it because there's never any content to it. There's never any kind of moral hold to it. And so the best you can then do is say, well, my dream wasn't to make 1 million, but 2 million. Or my dream wasn't to have this many followers, but this many followers, or to shift that. But if you actually arrive at it and say, this is what I always wanted, then you look around and say, there's nothing here. And in many ways, that's kind of at least a gloss of David Foster Wallace's story, that he gets there and realizes there's nothing there and ends up tragically killing himself. And we have other artists who have kind of done that as well. So there's a real inherent problem with this. And so that was a really dark way to end this video.
Well, I remember, what comes to mind is some loss inventories and things that I've been steeped in previous careers. And there is something the research shows there is tremendous loss when you arrive at something. There's just the bottom falls out from under you because you've hit it, and it's, now what?
Right.
Now what? What is there?
Yeah. And what does it mean to be a person in the midst of that? You know,
and a beloved child of God.
Yeah, and I mean, it is a kind of always future orientation without any eschatology, where you arrive in something. And so the modern project is always a yearning for some future, but never for the interrupted advent of the arrival of God that brings a kind of all new time, where the goodness is full in participation in God's own life.